All right, everyone. This is Ayana, your transformation health coach. And hello to everybody watching, everybody who's on Zoom, everybody who is in the Facebook group watching this. Hello and good morning. And I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful morning and day. I'm really excited to jump into this webinar with you all because it's an opportunity for us to work on self-care. So this is the Happy and Healthy Self-Care Social, and you're going to learn a little bit more about why it is that we sabotage ourselves so much with self-care and what we can then do about it. All right, so if you are on, so I have another computer going here. So if you ever see me looking over here, it's because I'm looking over at Facebook people. I'm like, hi, Facebook. Trying to answer questions over here for the Facebook people. And if you're on Zoom and you have questions, definitely put them in the comments. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and get started. And let me go ahead and share my screen. And, cancel that. Okay, let's get into presentation mode. So if you're on Zoom, I apologize because what's going to happen is that I might not be able to see your questions on Zoom until I take a little break because I'm in presentation mode here, okay? So as this is loading, I hope you guys are all getting ready to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and take some time for you. So let's get in and check that out. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's taking a little while to load. I apologize for that. Thank you for being patient with my internet. All right, here we go. We're on. So this is Happy and Healthy Self-Care event. This is a self-care webinar, and this is designed to be an educational process for you to get to figure out what 4 things sabotage self-care and some concrete tools that we can use to work through them. I'm really excited about this curriculum because it's a lot of fun. There is a lot in here that you can use on a daily basis to help you start to build and work on your self-love and your self-care. And you'll see why that's so important in a moment as we go through the slides. All right, so hello, I'm Ayana, and there you go, you got a jumbo picture of me. I'm a teacher. I am a family woman. I have 3 kids total, a stepdaughter who is 25, and I like to say she doesn't add to the chaos in the house. And then my husband and I, we have a 3 and a 6-year-old. There's a lot going on all the time. And my husband, and then, you know, my family who I live close to. I care a lot about family. It's everything. And I'm a transformation health coach. And what that means is I really help people who are feeling stuck with weight loss or reaching health goals, learn how to transform their relationship to food, to exercise, but really most importantly to themselves. Okay. And this was the thing that changed everything for me. You know, you'll learn a little bit more about my personal story in a minute. You'll see some embarrassing photos in a second. But, you know, one of the things that I learned was that if whatever goal you want to reach, you can only go as far as you'll let yourself go. We are usually the biggest interrupters of accomplishing our goals, and that goes with our health goals too. And so if you try to work on food and exercise, but you don't work on your mindset at the same time, it can be very hard to stick to things and keep with it. And so it makes sense that 98% of people, you know, lose weight and gain it back. 98% of people who lose weight end up gaining it back. And it's because of this. So when I finally started working on my mindset as well as the food and the exercise component, it was so much easier to get everything done. And I was able to lose 50 pounds and keep it off. So I help my clients do the same thing. All right. So let me just see here. So I want, you know, to think about you a little bit. And if it's okay, you know, just thinking about in our Zoom group here, let me see about participants here. So thinking about, wanted to introduce ourselves, but I think the majority of people are on Facebook. I wanted to know from you guys, you know, your name, where you're from, and one thing you want the group to know about you. So if you are on Facebook, that's okay too. You can go ahead and comment that. If you're catching the replay, wherever you're catching this, if you're live or if you're catching the replay, just go ahead and comment your name, where you're from, and one thing you want us to know about you. So a hobby that you would like or to enjoy, anything about your family. Like a hobby that I have is I really like to, I'm really obsessed with Harry Potter. And I got into it as an adult. Okay. So if you're thinking, oh, maybe Ayana looks young enough that she got into it as a kid. No, I was way older than the Harry Potter train, but I got into it as an adult. So we can have that conversation whenever you want to. Okay. And just curious, what brought you here today? And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the Facebook comments. So tell me your name, your age, or let's see, where you're from. So not age, but where you're from. And one thing interesting we should know about you. Okay, so I just typed those comments in the Facebook for the Facebook stream. And if you guys are catching the replay, feel free to put those comments in because I love to see who's checking this out. Okay, and what brought you here today? All right. Oh, and Latasha says, okay, she is from California and she loves to dance, and she's very good at dancing, by the way. Just incredible, incredible, incredible dancer. Thank you for commenting on that. And she said that she wants to give herself what she finally needs. We say amen to that. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Okay, here we go. All right. And so if you're catching the replay, go ahead and put a little bit about yourself because I'd love to check that out later when you're able to catch this live. So here's the struggle. The reason why we're doing this event is because we have in our society a lot of mental health struggles. You know, so many of us, we're in a pandemic right now, in case you didn't know. You know, if you're in the Bay Area like I am, you're dealing with lockdown, you're dealing with all of these crazy situations. And it can be really, really challenging, and it can create opportunities for us, you know, like you might be dealing with job loss, you might be dealing with income loss, you might be dealing with insecurity due to politics and everything else going on in the world. It's overwhelming, and it can create and really embolden a lot of mental health struggles. Another thing when it comes to self-care, 1 out of 5 people will be obese. 1 out of 5. Okay, so that's something to think about. More about the struggle. 30 million people will die from preventable disease. 30 million of us. Okay, that's huge. And the key word there is preventable diseases. Overeating during a pandemic. Okay, you know, give me a shout out or give me, you know, put a love or a thumbs up or emoji or whatever it is, or a comment if this applies to you. If you've been overeating during the pandemic, kind of medicating yourself because of all of the craziness. You know, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it caught me completely off guard, right? I didn't think it was as serious as it was until they started shutting everything down. So it's very common for that to happen, for us to be medicating ourselves right now. A lot of people are also complaining about lack of exercise. And a lot of people are calling it the COVID-15 or the COVID-20, where people are putting on weight right now. And most of us are struggling. Most of us are struggling or are having a more challenging time than we did a year ago. So I say that to say that, you know, if you are here watching this presentation, this is the perfect time for you to check in. And it's so amazing that you're making yourself a priority during this time. So now let's dive in. I want to tell you a little bit more about my overwhelm story. So the first thing, you know, before we jump into going into the different tips, you know, the 4 things that kind of trip people up, I want to let you know that just because, you know, sometimes people say, oh, you're a health coach, you don't have these kind of problems, you must not be dealing with X, Y, and Z, but all of us, we're all human beings and we all have struggle. We all have things that are challenging. And I definitely do right now, and I also have. But I'm really thankful for what happened to me in my life, and I'll explain to you in a moment. But I was really raised to put other people's needs before my own. So raise your hand or give me thumbs up or emoji if that's you, right? If you were raised to kind of put other people's needs before your own, to be a caregiver, to take care of other people, to honor what everybody else wants, to really care deeply about what other people are thinking and feeling, and not so much about yourself, right? And what that led me to do was to be in a position where I wasn't really in touch with what I wanted. And so in growing up, you can see these are some pictures of me as like in earlier adulthood a few years ago. And what happened with me is I got so consumed by, like, caring for other people, being a full-time teacher, beyond full-time teacher. I was overworking because I felt like I needed to give to my students. And so many teachers and so many caregiver professions get caught in that. I was also taking care of my mom. This is my mom, Anita, who passed away 2 years ago, but she was sick with Huntington's disease, and I was her only caregiver. So I was another caregiver in that role. And also down here, I have kids that I take care of as well too. And so many of us, even if you weren't a caregiver or you're not a parent, so many of us can relate to wanting to do the right thing, to wanting to be helpful and kind and supportive to people and show love where we can. And so a lot of us get trapped up in this idea of being needed, whether it's through work, whether it's a caregiving profession or not. It could just be that you overwork because you feel like you need to get everything done perfectly, because you care about your coworkers and you care about the results. And so it was a similar thing for me too. And what ended up happening is that because I was so consumed by, everybody else and focusing on everybody else's needs and being out of touch with my own, I would eat. I would take out my emotions in food. And I love, I'm both Caribbean and Southern. There's nothing wrong with eating good, delicious food, but I definitely got trapped up in that. And I would also, and it was one of the things that made me gain weight. And I'd be up and down in my weight because emotionally I was trying to feed myself through food. And give me a shout out if that's you. So many of us do that. And so what ended up happening is by the time I gave birth to my second daughter biologically, I was over 50 pounds heavier than I am now. Okay, so I was like 50 pounds overweight. And so here is, oh, and the other thing I just want to say about this too, another thing that this caused, I had a lot of self-esteem issues, when I was younger. I had a lot of body image issues, and it just caused me to never feel comfortable in my skin. So that, coupled with a desire to really want to help people, I just really felt like it was selfish and indulgent to take care of myself. And as a result, I almost had a nervous breakdown because I felt so overworked, so overwhelmed, and so beyond my limits. And I did not know that I could take a break. And so this is something, though, even though this was a challenging time for me, and actually also too, I forgot to mention as well too, that I also went through an abusive relationship because of my low self-esteem issues and looking for validation everywhere but myself, that I actually started to, I credit that time in my life as saving my life. Because had I not gone through all of that struggle, had I not gone through all of that pain, and really, I was at points where I didn't really even want to wake up at times, where I felt like if I didn't wake up the next morning, then that would be okay. I was a little bit, I didn't want to actively kill myself, but I just didn't want to live. And I don't know how many of us can relate to that, but feeling really depressed and down and dealing with anxiety. But that saved my life because my thoughts started to scare me. And I started to then, through therapy, coaching, and self-care, I started to realize and I started to learn, one, that I deserve to take care of myself. That was really important. And then to make time for it no matter what. And as a result of that, you'll see that this is the result. These are me and the two babies who live with us. This is Kai, who's now 6, and Prism, who's now 3. So they're a little bit older than here. But I was able to start eating healthier and exercising more and enjoying it, which I never thought would be a thing I could do. I make time for myself every day where I'm doing something that I love, where I go for walks. And we'll talk about exactly how I do that in a moment. And I actually am loving my life a lot more now. And even all of the issues that come up and that get in the way, they can't hold me back because I know, like, I'm more emotionally resilient. I can handle setbacks a lot better than I could a few years ago. And that's what I wish for all of you guys today too. And it was also, and it's how I also ended up dropping 50 pounds and keeping it off, by the way. It was because I started to prioritize myself. And that's what we're going to talk about here today too. And so really, these are the reasons why I'm so motivated to do this work. I learned that self-care is an act of self-love. It really, really, truly is. And when I didn't love myself, I didn't think I deserved self-care. Another thing I came to learn, another major epiphany, was that self-care gives back to everyone, to everyone that you care about. So my kids, my husband, my family, my friends, I'm a better human being when I am taking care of myself. And we all are too. And self-care gives back to everything we care about. So I am somebody, I've always cared about making the world a better place, which is why I teach, which is why I been a community organizer for most of my life. But, sometimes we burn out because if we're always giving from an empty cup, then, that old saying goes, and we have nothing left to give to ourselves. So everything that we care about does better and exponentially better when we take care of ourselves. Okay. So now I want to ask you this question. What if you could feel this? Right now you might be feeling like, oh my goodness, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious and like, how can I possibly get everything done that I need to get done? Here's what I want for you to set. I just want to ask you to envision and imagine that you can have this. What if you could feel balanced and like you have time for important things and people? I used to think that was not real. What if you could have fun? You guys remember fun? You guys remember what fun was? Some of us have forgotten. So having fun and feeling like it's a consistent part of your life, okay? Dramatically reducing feelings of overwhelm and stress, okay? What if you could have that as well too? Dramatically reducing them, right? Life is full of them. We can't make them go away fully, right? But just dramatically reducing feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And if you could also feel healthier and like you have time for your healthy habits, okay? Give me a hands out or a, do we still raise the roof anymore? Or is that just me? But raising the roof or just any type of reaction if that's something that you'd like to have more of. Because I used to think I couldn't, but you can. And here's the important thing about this. This time is all about you. So this I want you to just kick back and relax because there's no pressure during this event. This is a moment, this presentation is just about you and you getting the time that you need in order to take care of yourself. So just sit back and relax and just know that there's a special gift at the end of this for you. Okay? All right. All right. So now let's move into one of my favorite things to talk about. The mindsets that sabotage self-care. Okay, and there are 4 that I would like to go through today in this training. Okay, the first one, feeling hopeless about your life and the world. Okay, very easy to do during these times, but we'll talk about how to combat that in a second. The second thing is I don't have enough time. I just don't. I don't have enough time for anything, right? How many times have you said that? Okay. So we'll bust that myth in a second. Another one is the third one is setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. Okay. Are you putting way too much on your to-do? Are you overwhelming yourself too much? Are you setting your bar way too high? Okay. And the fourth one is trying to do it by yourself. Trying to do it all alone and by yourself and all on your own. Okay. All of that pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Okay. I hate that phrase, but just, so if you're guilty of any one of these, just go ahead and put a comment, an emoji or something else, because I'm guilty of all of them. I have done all of these, and we're going to talk about how to overcome all of that. Okay. So now let's now get into the practical steps you can take today to overcome these mistakes. Okay. And what I'd love for you to do is I want you to just take like 30 seconds or so while I check in on Facebook and just grab something to write with. Because we're going to be journaling. Okay. You guys are going to be doing these activities because in this session, I'm a teacher at heart. The best way to learn is to actively do. It's for me to talk about these things, but for you to actively do it. And let's face it, it's less dry and less boring if you're doing an activity as well too. So after I go through these steps, you guys, we're going to be doing activities together. So go grab something to write with real quick. I'll give you like 20 seconds to do that. Let's see what's going on with Facebook here. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone on Facebook. Excellent. Okay, wonderful. All right. So I hope you got something to write with. Excellent. Now let's jump back into this. So let's talk about the practical steps you can take today. Okay. It's no fun if you have to wait like 6 months, right? So you can start doing these things today. But I just want to caution you also, too, that just because we're going through these doesn't mean you should try to do everything right now, because that can be overwhelming. Okay. So just, taking one small bite at a time. But let's go through these examples together. All right. So the first one is to embrace your personal power. I just love that picture. That picture makes me so happy. Embrace your personal power. So the first thing, the first issue that can get in the way, feeling hopeless. Okay, this is the first thing that gets in the way. And here's the struggle. The struggle is real. So let's talk about it. Now, we live in a country, if you're in the United States, you might be elsewhere. But what I've found a lot in the United States is that our country does not often teach self-care or balance. And in fact, there's usually a struggle with this. Okay. Actually, let me just see here something about just making sure that Facebook is all good. Okay. Are you guys good, Facebook? Let me know if you have any questions or anything comes up. Okay. Just making sure that the tech is working fine. So just let me know if there's any tech issues, Facebook. All right. So again, we live in a country that doesn't really, teach us about self-care or balance. So if you struggle with this, don't worry. Okay. We haven't really been taught. I wasn't taught, and a lot of us were not taught to actively do this. Now, overworking is encouraged in this country, and it's often celebrated. Okay. Raise your hand, thumbs up, or comment if you've ever been in a workplace where they were like bragging or celebrating the people who were overworking, who had the 10, 12, 14-hour days, who were like the first ones there and the last to leave. Okay. I've lived that as a teacher, and it's not fun. And in fact, it can make us feel bad when we want to go home at a decent hour. And here's the thing, the majority of people feel dissatisfied at work. And I need to say that again. The majority of people feel dissatisfied at work, between 53 to 85%, depending on what surveys and polls you look at. But that's incredible. We spend, and now, we don't go to the office. You may not be going directly to the office, or you might. But the majority of us, we spend the majority of our days at work. So when the majority of us are spending most of our time, or most of our waking time, feeling upset or dissatisfied, I mean, that's a problem. And so, as you can imagine, this leads to a lot of mental health issues. Okay, so we talked about mental health issues in the beginning of this, and also this feeling dissatisfied at work or unhappy is a huge thing that should not be downplayed. And our mental health care and other systems are not equal in this country, sadly enough. It would be wonderful if we could just all, get a therapist and get the help that we needed to work through some of these issues and struggles that we're having. But sadly, it really is about payment, right? It's about who can afford what type of support. And here's the other thing, with all of that going on and with everything happening in the world right now and that you're responsible for, it can feel like life is piling on. And I know I've definitely felt that way. Here's the new attitude that I want all of us to challenge ourselves to have instead, okay? Is to embrace your personal power by doing these things. Don't let the world swallow you up. Okay. Now that's easier said than done for sure. And I'm going to show you how you can do this. But just remembering that the world is going to keep going no matter what, and that we have to keep moving too. Don't let the world swallow you up in everything that's happening right now. Recognize your own personal power in this world. So if sometimes we can feel like life is victimizing us, that like, why is life doing this to me? But life is not out to get us. Everyone has their crosses to bear. I don't care if you are a billionaire, right? Now, does it make life easier if you're a billionaire? Absolutely, right? But we all have our crosses to bear. We all have our trauma. We all have our pain that we go through. And pain is actually one of those things that grows us. So we don't necessarily want to eliminate it. But we do have our personal power in this world, and we need to recognize that. And so part of how we can do that is recognizing what you have control over. What do you have control over in your life? You can make change in your own life. You can make change in a cause that you care about. So if you care about, things that are happening in the world right now, what organizations can you volunteer time or give a little money to, right? These are things that you can absolutely do. You can also make change at your workplace. Okay. You can do this with patience. So change takes time. So we have to recognize that, but you can make change in your life. So if you don't like the way relationship is going, if you don't like the way that you are, your relationship with your kids, because I actually had that situation where my now 6-year-old, when she was 18 months old, I was completely confused by how to support her and take care of her. She was having meltdowns and I felt lost and I felt really a lot of shame as a parent. But this is one of the things in life that I can control. So I started, talking to our daycare provider for advice. I asked her her preschool teacher when she eventually went to preschool, and I started to learn techniques and things to use in my relationship with her. And it doesn't mean that parenting is easy now, but it's way better than it was a few years ago. So what do you have control over in your life? Okay. And then when you take care of you, recognizing this, a new attitude, when you take care of you, you change how you show up for everything and everyone you care about. So that is something that you do have control over. You do have control, over what you eat to a certain degree. You do have control over, going out for a walk. You do have control over certain things. And so remember this, it's an act of resistance and revolution not to go crazy, not to lose your mind, right? Okay, let me check in with Facebook real quick here. There's usually a struggle with this, okay? All right. So now when I was saying, I was just checking in on Facebook about the whole tech stuff, but I think we're good. So it's important that we realize that, coming back to this, it's important that we realize that it's a revolutionary thing to not lose your mind. It's a revolutionary thing with all of the things being stacked against us to not lose our minds. And so when you look at it in that way, when you see how stacked everything is against us, there's so many things that are trying to make us lose our minds. The fact that if you've lost your mind and come back from it, if you're losing your mind right now, that's okay. You have the power to come back from this. You can do it. And you are very powerful for being able to survive all of this. Now, let's move into some strategies and tools. We're going to do a little activity. I'm so excited. So the strategies and tools that can help us is, number one, ditch the news sometimes. Okay. How many people were binge watching the news when the election was happening? That wasn't just me, right? I got to tell you, I was binge watching the news. And now I went, after the election happened, I went 2 or 3 weeks without listening to anything ever again. I was like, nope, I'm done. I can't. I've had it. So ditching the news sometimes is really, really important. Give yourself a pat on the back if you're doing that. So meditation and or deep breathing can help with us just kind of centering ourselves and remembering how powerful and amazing we are. And, by the way, meditation is something that's still on my to-do list. It's still something I struggle with. So these are things you can work on over time. Being in the present moment. Now, this is a really, really powerful tool. It seems simple enough, but being in the present moment just means that you're connected to right now. So right now in this moment, I'm connecting with you. I'm looking at my camera, and I know that you're on the other side of it looking too. I'm looking at the slide. I can see what's happening there. I see that there's a picture of a flower, okay, with a sunflower, I guess, with a brown looking kind of seed in it. I mean, clearly I need to go back to biology. Okay, and I'm connecting to this flower right now because it's helping to ground me and keep me present. And I'll explain why it works in a second. Enjoying inspirational and funny content and media is really, really important. And then empowering journaling and affirmations. You know what? Let me say one more thing about being present, because I actually think that it may not come up. So the thing about being present that is so important, when people say that a lot, you may not understand what that means, but when you talk about pausing and going for a walk, and looking around and just noticing what's around you. Sometimes what happens is when we are so focused on, the past, we can get depressed. We can tend to focus on things that happened 5 minutes ago, a conversation we had with somebody that we're still kind of thinking over. And, oh my God, did I do the right thing there? Did I say the right thing? Did I make them upset? Or we can be really concentrated on what's going to happen in the future. Oh my gosh, is this money going to come through? Am I going to get a client? Am I going to get paid? Will I have enough money for Christmas? Et cetera, right? But all of those things, when we're taken out of the present moment, it can dramatically affect our mental health because we are ruminating over things that we can't control. Our brains are going crazy over things that we have no control over. So when they say be present, it's a deeper thing that is more connected to our mental health than we realize. So even just what I do is I go for walks and I try to force myself to look and notice, what does the sky look like right now? What do the trees look like right now? Looking up, you know, what does this wall look like in this room? What's on it? What picture is over there? Just spending a couple seconds looking at each thing can help to calm us down and remind us that we're okay. Okay. And then also empowering journaling and affirmations. Love, love, love empowering journaling and affirmations. Just amazing. Okay. Uh-oh. All right. And then here is the other thing that is really, really important is making a plan where you have power to do so. Okay. Uh-oh. Just want to make sure that there's no tech issue happening with the Facebook. The Facebook people. And if you're on Zoom. Here we go. Okay, here we go. It looks like it's still going. All right. So just on my computer, I'm sorry. I saw that it looked like it was having trouble playing the video, but it looks like it's all right now. So we're back. So making a plan where you have power, and that's actually what we're going to do right now. Okay. So we're going to pause for a second. And the activity that I would like you to do, and this is why I asked you guys to go get paper, is to make a plan where you have power. This is very, very important. We don't have control over everything. I can't control that it's cold outside, even though I prefer sunny. I can't control that it might be raining and that it rained when I went for a walk yesterday. So there's so much I can't control, right? And a lot of times we'll be like, oh man, it's raining. It sucks. My mood. I hate this. This stinks. This sucks. I can't control the fact that I have to teach at a certain time. You might not be able to control certain things at your work. But so this is about making a plan where you do have power, right? The things that you do have power over. Okay. So I want you to think of one area of your life where you feel out of control. So it may be for you, it's at work. And, I shouldn't have used the work as an example where you don't have power. What I really mean is right now in this moment, you may not have power over your schedule at work, but you could. Okay. So it could be, maybe you feel like maybe your work is too much. Maybe you feel like this whole distance learning thing, you're trying to work and also balance your kids and you feel like that balance is out of control. Maybe you feel like you're not giving enough to your kids or to your family right now because you're overworking. Whatever it is, pick one area of your life that you feel a little out of control or you feel like needs a little bit more management. Okay. All right. And then here are, think of all of those things that you have control over. So the first thing, so it's the area of life that might be out of control is work. Maybe you're working too much. Maybe you're working 12-hour days and you don't know how to stop yourself. Okay. And now, so think of what things you have control over. Can you control, now before I said the schedule, but can you control the schedule? Are you overworking because you are saying you need to work 12 hours a day? Like, is there a boss there who's telling you that you need to work 12 hours a day? Or are you doing it to yourself? Right? So asking that question ourselves, because a lot of times we impose these things on ourselves and then we suffer because of that. So what things do you have control over? Can you control the amount of hours that you work? Can you control not working on weekends? Okay. Can you start work a little bit earlier and try to end earlier so you can have more family time? And then think of, so now that you've thought about that, what are 1 to 3 specific action steps you can take that will help move you forward? Okay. So these should be simple. And so if you want to think about like simple, easy things that are under 30 minutes each. Okay. So for example, if the area of life where I feel out of control is my work, and I told you before, I actually realized that maybe I don't need to work 12-hour days. Maybe I'm just kind of putting that on myself. It might still leave things at the end of my to-do list, but nobody has said to me that I need to work 12-hour days. So I do have some control over my schedule. Maybe one specific thing I can do is to reach out to my boss, supervisor, or partner or whatever, and let them know that I feel overwhelmed, that I'm feeling tired, and I don't want to burn out. And letting them know that from now on, I'm requesting to work exclusively 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever it is that you need to do. Okay. A second action I can take is how to really use my time efficiently during the day so I can get things done. Because sometimes we give ourselves we work longer because we're not necessarily getting everything done in the time that we have for work. So using the second action item could be really planning my time efficiently so I can use my work time effectively. All right. And the reason why it says under 30 minutes each is because when we make a plan sometimes and we try to write a list, if those action items are really heavy and meaty, or if they feel like a lot or they feel like they have multiple steps in them, then it feels too overwhelming. So the first thing is to pick things that are so easy and quick that it would be laughable to not do them. Okay. So just take a moment to just write down some things. Oh, hello, and I'm checking with Facebook. Oh, hi, yes. Okay, so thank you for sharing that in Facebook. So I got a comment here that said COVID family separation is an area of life where you feel really out of control. Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, you want to think about what things do you have control over. This is a hard time. It's really hard to be away from people. So really just thinking about what are some things that you do have control over. Right now in the Bay Area, we're in lockdown mode, so not a lot, right? The only things that we have control over are Zoom and getting together electronically. But instead of viewing it as, okay, man, I don't get to see my people in person, this sucks. Instead, we can say, okay, we can start to view it from like, I'm drinking a bottle here, the bottle half full instead of half empty. What are all of the things? So instead of it being like, oh God, here are all the things I don't get to do, instead we can ask ourselves, what are all the things I do get to do? What are all the things I do have control over? So if it has to be electronic, can we do a game night? Can we make it a fun get together when when we reconnect on Zoom? Can we do something funny like, maybe we do a Zoom call and we share our screen and we go through some photos or family videos from before? Also, what other friends do I have who are also feeling kind of isolated right now? And can we all get together for some wine? So what are some creative ways that we can feel the togetherness? Could you send a care package so that way people feel even more connected? Okay. And then so those are thinking of the things that you do have control over. So thinking of it from glass half full. What do I have power over? And then thinking of 1 to 3 specific things you can do to help you move forward. And again, nothing is there's no substitute for that togetherness, right? But there is a lot of stuff that we can do that can help us feel that can help us, minimize some of the suffering that we'll feel if we do nothing. Okay. So I'll give you guys just another 30 seconds or so to go ahead and do that. Oh, and thank you for all the likes and loves on Facebook. Excellent. I'm looking down at my phone because my computer's having some tech issues. So forgive me. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. Okay. And actually, this is something, by the way, that I do with my clients. We spend some time really brainstorming over what we have control over so we can feel like, okay, I've thought about it. I've thought about the most overwhelming things. Let's have a plan now. Okay. All right. So let's move forward. And so this is something that you can do anytime, anywhere, any place. Okay. All right. So we ready to move on to number 2? Oh, I didn't even drink any water. I'm still talking. Sorry. I'm so excited at all the love going on Facebook that I'm not hydrating myself here. So let's do tip number 2. Recognize that your time is your own. Okay? You may not believe me, but it is. More so than you think. Let's talk about it. Okay? So here is the struggle. Okay, we talked about the mindsets that sabotage our self-care. Believe it or not, I don't have enough time is a mindset that sabotages. Okay, we'll talk about that. The struggle is real though. Now, we talked about this before. We are an overworking culture. And the statistic there, normally what I would do is I would open up that statistics page and we could kind of look through how the US compares to all these other countries. But bottom line is we work more hours than employees in any other country. I think it's either us or Japan that's first. So European countries, we work anywhere from 10 to 20 hours more a week. And we don't take any vacation. All right? Like, what's up with that? So we are an overworking culture. We feel pulled in too many directions and responsible for too much. Okay? Can you imagine? My hat goes off to all of you because it's just, we're all responsible for so much. And trying to balance it all is just, it really is a magical feat. You guys are all miraculous. And it is miraculous that we are getting through this, that we're working through this together. And so, go. And so it's normal then, with all of that going on, to feel overwhelmed, right? And it's normal to feel victimized by your schedule and some aspects of your life. How many of us have said, oh God, I just don't have time for this. I just don't have time for that. I just don't have time for this. Now, I will say this to you. It is, there are times in life when you have a lot of things going on in life, when you really may not have a minute to spare. But it's rarer. What usually happens is that we usually have more time than we think we do. Okay. Here's the other part of the struggle, having a hard time saying no. Give me a thumbs up or likes or hearts if that's you. If you have a hard time saying no, or you used to, I've worked on myself and I still sometimes have a hard time saying no. So it's normal because we care, we want to help. You guys are beautiful, amazing people. And because of all of this, sometimes we can feel chaotic. We can feel chaotic because we're trying to give here, we're trying to give there, we're trying to support every and everyone and everything that we want to do. Okay? And of course, like with before, this can lead to mental health challenges when you're feeling chaotic. Just even low grade levels of stress on a regular basis are not good for you and can wreak havoc on your health. So let's focus on a new attitude instead. I love this. The first thing is, and I really cannot stress this enough, is that you deserve time for yourself. Okay. Now, this makes a great sticker, a great bumper sticker, but so many of us don't know this, don't really know this or have internalized this. You deserve time for yourself and you deserve time for you. Okay. So when we don't give that time for ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, is it just because I don't feel like I deserve it? You don't need to be a victim of your schedule. You don't need to be. And this was a hard one for me because until a few years ago, I was chronically victimized by my schedule. I was a caregiver to my mom. Okay, I'm her only child. So that meant it was exclusively on me. And she had an illness that was very time consuming and she needed a lot of support. I was pregnant. I was in grad school. I was teaching. And I told you about how I was teaching full time. And while there are some moments in life where because I was in grad school and teaching also, I was in a season of life that was a little bit more demanding, where it would have been harder to find some time. But I felt victimized by my schedule. And when you feel victimized, you don't feel like there's anything that you can do or any agency that you have. And here's the thing, if you don't make time for you, it's because you don't believe you deserve it. So whether it means that you don't deserve it because everything needs to get done first, if you're one of those people where it's like my to-do list needs to be checked off before I take care of me, that was me. Or whether it's just like, it's selfish, of me to take time for myself, and really I need to, other people need me, so let me focus on their needs first. All of that is real and true. There you go. Recognize the validation tied up in being needed. Okay, there's a validation that comes from this. I didn't know this about myself until I went deep. But I told you before that I had low self-esteem issues growing up, and body image issues. And while I do care about people and I love people and I love helping people, which is why I'm in this line of work and a teacher and all of that, but I also learned too that another thing that happens for people who have low self-esteem is you can find validation, you can find purpose in other people needing you. It's another way to feel important and needed and necessary. And my validation was tied up in that. So when your validation is tied up in that, it's very hard to say no. It's very hard to say no to things, even if you know it's going to break your back. And here's the other thing that is important. Self-care is required for mental health. It is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. It's not when X, Y, Z is done first. It is non-negotiable. And this took me a while to understand, but every time I have a relapse where I start to feel overwhelmed or out of control, it's amazing how taking care of myself, even just a little bit, helps dramatically. Okay, so it's required for mental health every day. And you must fight for your time aggressively. You have to fight for your time aggressively because you are your best advocate, and you are the person who can knows your needs the best, okay? So here, let's talk about some practical strategies, some things that we can do that are gonna help us. And I'm just doing a little time check here. So the first thing is to identify your yeses and your nos. Oh, I love this one. This one is a little challenging for people, right? To identify what you want to say yes to and what you want to say no to. But guess what? We have an activity. We're going to do that together in a second. Identify what activities bring you joy and energy. You remember that? Okay, I asked you guys this before, but remember what fun and joy feels like, okay? So if you, and here's the crazy thing about this. When I was trying to transition into giving myself more self-care, and I was trying to identify what I love to do, I didn't know. I didn't know what I love to do anymore. I was so out of touch with my own thoughts and feelings that I had no clue. Okay. And make a schedule and force 30 minutes to 2 hours plus into your schedule each day for those activities. Now you might be like, 2 hours of self-care. Yes, 2 hours of self-care. And if you're wondering if that's possible, yes, it is possible. I'll tell you exactly what it is that I do. I teach, I have 2 small children who are doing distance learning, and I have a business and house responsibilities and all of that. And I make 2 hours of self-care for myself each day. Okay. I exercise 30 minutes each day. And I also go for a walk later in the day. And I even give myself some TV time when I'm cleaning up something, or when I pause. I give myself an actual pause where there's a break of nothing else to do. So if you're wondering if it's possible, it is. But I baby stepped my way there, because initially I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I could make it happen. And I started with 20 to 30 minutes. So if that's where you start, that's completely fine. But just start somewhere. But just know that you can work your way up. Okay. Wake up earlier if necessary. Okay. So how many of us are morning people? And how many of us are not morning people? Give me a thumbs up if you're a morning person, or a thumbs down if you're not, or just, you can put in the comments, if you're watching the replay later. But I was not I was not a night owl, but I was not a morning person either. Okay. I did not want to wake up early. But in the past couple of months, I've been waking up at 5 a.m. You don't have to do this if your life is not as busy as mine. But I'll tell you what I do specifically. Let me go back here. I wake up at 5 a.m. I do a little bit of like mindset stuff for myself, things that will help me feel energized and great. So I listen to something inspirational. I do some work for my business and for teaching. I also then, and I have very specific things that I do in the morning. I also then uh, work out, exercise, and then I wake up my kids. And what's amazing about waking up earlier in the morning, and now I've been converted, but you start your day not feeling crazy. I used to start my day feeling out of my mind and nuts, but now it's amazing how just waking up a little bit earlier, even though I was resistant, it's done so much for me. And so by the time I wake up my kids, I feel like I've accomplished certain things. I feel like I've exercised, I've done some things that I like to do. I have taken care of some important things on my to-do list, and I'm able to be a better and more present mom and parent to them. It's amazing. I'm able to approach everybody that I come into contact with that day a lot better because of that. Okay, so you have to fight for your time, but if you need to wake up earlier to make some of these things happen, you don't have to go 5 a.m. cold turkey right now if that seems outlandish to you. But even if all you do is just starting with waking up 30 minutes earlier, 20 minutes earlier, even just so you can have a little maybe deep breathing time or listen to something that's going to inspire you, whatever it is, just start there and you can work your way up over time if you like it. All right. Oh, one more thing about waking up earlier. The reason why I don't say anything about night owls is actually they've done studies and they actually found that like morning people actually have better mental health than night owls. Sorry to all my night owls, but I actually read in a great book called, oh God, The Miracle Morning. It's fantastic. It talks about this because we're in a society that functions during the day. So if you're a night owl, sadly, you're probably not going to get good quality sleep, and that can just mess up your physical health and mental health. All right. So consider getting up a little earlier. All right. So here's how this works in the real world. I'm going to read to you a little quote from a former client. She said, "I was your typical." This is not her, by the way. But she said, "I was your typical professional woman struggling to balance career, family, relationships, and self-care. I was pulled in so many different directions in life that I was literally making myself sick with stress and anxiety. And through our coaching sessions from working together, we did one-on-one coaching. I learned to practice awareness, advocate for myself, and build in meaningful life changes such as exercise, diet, and downtime." And she lost 15 pounds during our time together. And this was actually, she came in for life coaching, but it just ended up, she just ended up naturally started to take better care of herself because she started to make time for self-care. She started to advocate for herself and fight for her time. And we can all do that. Okay. She was working a full-time job and had a business. Okay. And she was, burning the candles at both ends when we met. And by the end of it, she was taking time for herself every day. It's amazing. So now here is activity number 2. You guys ready for this one? Let's talk about identifying your yeses and your nos. Okay, so I'd love for you guys, if you have paper or a pen, this is going to be a little bit of an activity that I want you guys to write down. And, I really just thinking about, and since we're at the end of the year, this is a perfect time because you can kind of brainstorm and think, what is it that you would like to do going forward in the next year? What do you want to say yes to? What do you want to say no to? Okay. And it can be a hard thing to do, but just be honest with yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't think, well, if overworking feels like an impossible thing to say no to right now, still write that down. Nothing is impossible. There's always a way. Remember, we have more power than we think we do. And just by advocating for ourselves, you can find all types of things that you may not have ever thought possible before. Okay? So what do you want to say yes to going forward? Do you want to say yes to waking up a little bit earlier so that you can go for a walk before you start your day, or exercise or move your body in some way? Do you want to say yes to eating a little bit better each week? Do you want to say yes to just like allowing yourself to have a break each day, giving yourself a full lunch break? I have so many people who struggle to give themselves that full lunch break, and I used to not take it either. Okay, let me actually sit. I'm gonna adjust my, get a little comfortable here. There we go. And so we're in the trenches here, so I gotta get a little comfortable. So what else do you want to say yes to? Do you want to say yes to more time with your family, more time with loved ones and people who make you smile? Do you want to say yes to more time for, well, after this is over, more time for travel, more time to, to go accomplish things on your bucket list. Do you want to say yes to adventures? Do you want to say yes to, you know, community groups, organizations, just whatever it is? Write down what you want, all the things you want to say yes to, the things that would light you up and give you some joy and make you feel energized. And then when you're done with that, let's do the hard part here. What do you want to say no to? Okay? What do you want to say no to? And I love it, if if you're watching this in the replay or if you're watching this live, if you want to go ahead and put a couple of comments in about different things you want to say yes and no to. Let me just see something here. Here we go. Oh, uh-oh. Here we go. So what do you want to say no to? Okay. So things that you want to say no to, maybe it's overworking, burning the candle at both ends. Maybe it's, saying no to not making enough time for yourself. Maybe it's saying no to not loving yourself and not treating yourself well. You can also say yes to loving yourself, loving your body fully, eating well. You can say no to things that make you feel down. And, so it could be certain people who maybe are not feeding your soul in the way that you need, right? And this can be kind of hard. And don't worry, you don't have to do all of this overnight. But the idea is you just want to be honest and authentic with yourself. Okay. You want to be honest with yourself about what are the things that are draining you right now that you don't really want to keep up with. Maybe you're saying no to a couple of commitments. Maybe you know that you said yes to too many things. You put yourself on a board of this and you volunteered for that and you volunteered for 3 groups instead of just one. And now you need to say no to a couple of those groups. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them, but you know in your heart of hearts that it's too much, and that's okay. Okay, so just take another moment here to write them down. Ooh, looks like my battery's getting low. I may have to take a little break to go get my charger in a second, but I'll let you guys know that. Okay. So now, moving forward, let's go ahead and now let's take a quick break because I just wanted to show, for this event, if you invited people to the Facebook group and invited your friends to join this and be able to watch this, then I entered your name into a raffle. And there were a few names in the pot, but I'm really excited to say that our raffle winner is Latasha. And she was just on a moment ago. So congratulations, Latasha. And I'm going to write that in the Facebook group. Okay. Congratulations. She has won a $50 gift card to Arbonne. And Arbonne is an amazing, amazing wellness company that has nutritional supplements. And I mean, their products are amazing quality. They're all, all natural for real. There's no added any nonsense in them at all whatsoever. They're delicious and amazing. There's nutritional products to try. There's also makeup and skincare as well. It's just incredible and amazing. Our family loves these products and we have an amazing partnership with them. So $50 gift card to Latasha. Congratulations. Woohoo. And I will be following up with you after this to be able to make sure that you are able to get that. So thank you again for everybody who invited their people. And Latasha, congratulations. Woohoo! All right. So now let's take just a 1-minute break here. I think I'm going to go grab my computer charger because I left it in the other room and I will be right back. So congratulations again. And if you just need another second to write down your yeses and your nos, go ahead and take that moment. So I'll be right back in just 1 minute. All right, everyone. I am back and I have my charger. So I hope you guys all took another minute to write your yeses and your nos. Took a little bathroom break because we're gonna move. Let me plug in my computer so it doesn't die. See, this is real live. Okay. All right, we're back. Okay. Excellent. All right, so we're back. Thank you guys for letting me go grab my charger. And congratulations again to Latasha. Round of applause. So now let's dive into our third tip, which is practicing self-love and compassion. Okay, self-love and self-compassion. Okay, so the first thing is, again, I got the comments going here for Facebook. All right, wonderful. So let's talk about the struggle. This is a favorite one to talk about. It's all about setting unrealistic expectations. Okay, so, and I love this picture of this nun. I try to use this in as many PowerPoints as I can because it's just delightful and amazing. I don't know who made this meme, but it's great. Shame. So when you have unrealistic expectations for yourself and what you can do, okay? So it is, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 2 months, okay? Or I'm going to start a business in 4 months, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Okay. Now I'm giving extremes to make a point, but we do this in less over the top ways all the time, in ways that we don't always recognize. Another thing way that this comes up, the struggle, is where we compare ourselves to others. Okay. We're all so guilty of this, right? You know, it's normal human nature, right? We see other people doing something and we really want to be there too, and we really wish that we can get there, right? But as they say, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Perfectionism. Okay, so talking about unrealistic expectations. Are you expecting everything to be perfect? Are you not happy until everything is done perfectly, right? Where things, does it really frustrate you? So when it comes to health goals, for example, this comes up a lot where we want to, like people might give themselves 3 goals in a week and get really upset if they only accomplish 2 out of 3. But instead of it being, recognizing, wow, I've actually come a long way. I did 2 out of those 3 things where before I wasn't doing any of it. It's, oh my goodness, I didn't get all 3 done. There's something wrong with me. Okay, that's that perfectionism where it has to be done perfectly. And this can actually lead to beating yourself up for every mistake you make, right? For everything you don't get to and you don't get to check off on your list. It can lead to a lot of self-judgment. A lot of self-judgment. And I know this life very well. And I see I got some hearts on Facebook, so some other people get this too, right? Shame in your life. And this is our shame nun. But it's actually very debilitating because shame can really demotivate us. It can make us not want to do anything for ourselves. Okay. And over time, when we have this pattern of doing this, it can lead to a lack of self-love, self-hatred, and not hearing our own voice. And the reason why this is so harmful is because it's the opposite of making you go after your goals. So we have to work on this because when you're judging yourself all the time, when you're trying to be perfect, when you're comparing yourself to others and beating yourself up for every little mistake, you demotivate yourself from taking any action. So here's the new mindset. Okay, we're getting rid of the shame nun and we're going instead to bubbles, okay? Because bubbles are nice and kind. Recognize that perfectionism is just about control and fear. Okay, it's just, I can't remember who said this. Somebody said, it was the best quote I've heard, but they said, perfectionism is just fear in heels. It's just fear in high heels. Sometimes we feel like, checking everything off on the to-do list is really a way, like having my list together and, okay, mine's color coded. So don't judge me for this, but checking everything off on our list is really about me just like being, a wonderful person and being really productive and getting it all together. But our obsession with that, okay, and not letting ourselves off the hook and not being kind to ourselves when we make mistakes is really about control and fear. That's all it is. Recognize that perfectionism and shame kill motivation. This is what we just talked about a moment ago. And as a teacher, here's the thing that I just want to say. Oh, they wreak havoc on our goals and lives. And I know this is where I first learned about this as a teacher. I remember, I still teach now, and I love teaching. And whenever students ask me, every year I always get the question, well, how do I get an A in class? Or, why would I get an F? Or what is it that made me get a bad grade on this? So either how do I do well, or what is it that would make me do poorly? And the answer is just about this. It's about the shame. It's about the perfectionism. It's about your, it killing your motivation. Because what happens is this in teaching. There's always, students who like do an assignment, make a mistake, and start to beat themselves up for it. And they don't tell anybody this, but they start to feel like there's something wrong with them. So let's say they got like a C on a test. And then they start to feel like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I suck. I'm stupid. I don't really get this. There must be something wrong with me, right? Like if I got a C, that means I'm terrible. I'm stupid. And they may not know that that's what's going on subconsciously. But then the next thing then they start to do is, well, then for classes, they start to not show up as much as they did before. They start not turning in things because, when they're looking at it, they may not understand how to do it, but they're not asking for help, right? And so what they do instead is they start to just flow, they just start to progressively over time for the next assignment, not do it, or just not start, just stop coming to class as much or showing up late, not trying. And then eventually they give up on themselves altogether. And the next thing you know, you go from having a person who, you got to see on that assignment, not perfect, not horrible, but because of the self-talk that's going on in your head, the shame that they have going on, that student has going on, now they've talked themselves out of trying everything. And now they've got an F in the class because they've gotten further and further behind. And then when all of a sudden, when it's like 2 weeks until the end of the semester, and now they've been ignoring all of my attempts to reach out and all of that, and they want to come and they want to try and get a good grade again. They're like, okay, how can I repair my grade? I'm like, the only thing that got in the way was you. The only way the thing that got in the way was you thinking that you could not do it. And so you didn't want to ask for help. The other, there's another student in the class you get to see on an assignment. And instead they respond when I reach out and I say, hey, let's check in. And they respond and they say, okay. They might feel kind of bad. They might feel like, oh man, is there something wrong with me? But they come and get help. And then they learn it and they're fine. And they keep moving forward and they progress and they can wind up with an A or a B. And it's the same thing for our goals, all of our goals. Oh, good morning. Jacqueline just said good morning. Good morning, Jacqueline on Facebook. Thanks for showing love. And this is a common thing that happens all the time, but we don't realize the cycle with our health goals. So sometimes we'll just feel like, well, I just have no shot at this because, what happened here? Okay, hold on 1 second. It jumped back to the very first slide here for some reason. So let me go back to that. But while I'm pulling that up about the shame, it is a very real thing that happens and we get trapped in that pattern. We do that all of the time without realizing that we're doing it. Okay, so here we go. Let me go back to, here we go. Let's go back to this slide here. Okay. All right, Google Slides. We just got a little jumpy there. That's all right. Back to the workshop. So, and thank you everyone for watching and hanging in there for that tech issue. But just, so this is something that happens all the time. And as a coach, I see it happen all the time with clients. They make one little mistake or don't follow through, or maybe the weight goes back up slightly. And then it's like, well, oh no, I've messed up, I can't do it, and it's because of our experiences and what we've been through in the past. And it makes sense. But all it is just that fear voice that's talking you out of continuing to go. Okay. So recognize that that judgment and that shame was taught to you. And the good news is, it was taught to us. We were taught to beat ourselves up to a certain extent. We learned that from our families and our parents, and they were just doing the best that they could with us, whoever raised us. But we sometimes we judge ourselves harshly because we want to accomplish, we want to do well, and we think that beating ourselves up is motivation. But actually, it's usually not. Okay? And here's the thing, because it was taught to us, it doesn't have to stay forever. That's the good news. So here are some strategies and tools, and let's talk about these. So ditch comparison and focus on how you feel. So when it comes to a health goal or just even, self-care, whatever it is, that if you just focus on, I focus on competing with myself and I focus on how I feel. So when I'm eating, like when I really got serious about like weight loss, because that's a big thing that comes up, I just, instead of me focusing on like other people and what they're doing and, oh my gosh, look at that personal trainer and her body and she's so cut and how will I ever look like that? Instead of that, I'm like, let me just focus on how I feel. How do I feel when I move my body like that? How do I feel when I eat like that? How do I feel when I wake up earlier and I give myself some self-care? I feel good. Oh, I feel good and I feel amazing when I do that. And I don't feel good when I do X, Y, or Z. And so now I'm motivated by how I feel. And I go for those things that help me feel good and amazing and wonderful and give me energy. And another thing that we can do to overcome the judgment is to focus on journaling for self-love and self-compassion. Okay. And I have a template that I'm sharing with you guys as a bonus gift. Okay. If you're in the Facebook group watching right now, then the bonus gift was posted this morning. Okay. So you can access that and download them. These are amazing journals that I used when I was, really going through the rough depression and anxiety that I was telling you guys about earlier. And they helped me in between therapy sessions. Okay. The first question I had was, I forgive myself for. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean by that. The second prompt I gave myself was, I'm proud of myself for. And the third one I gave myself was, I'm grateful for. And, if you're dealing with a health, or body image issue, it might be that you need gratitude for your body. You might have to really work on that gratitude for your body. Okay. And another thing that you can do is write yourselves a love letter, for me, I had a lot of body image issues, as so many of us do. So I wrote myself a body love letter. Okay. And I'm also going to post that in the Facebook group as well too. So if you're watching this on Zoom or wherever else, and you just can post your email in the comments if you're on Zoom, and I will make sure that I get these to you by email. Okay. So now, guess what? In our activities section, I am going to walk you through how to do these journals. I love these journal prompts so much because they helped me so much when I was dealing with, going through depression and anxiety. In between sessions with my therapist, these were the things that helped me go day to day, and they actually helped me feel better like minutes after I tried them. It was amazing. So let me stop sharing my screen for just a moment. And I'm actually going to share these journal prompts that I use, okay? Because the next activity is for you to journal for self-love and self-compassion, okay? So I forgive myself for, I'm proud of myself for, and I'm grateful for. Okay, so let me share this with you right now here. I'm so excited for this, okay? So journal prompts to heal shame and build self-love. Okay, let's do it. You guys ready for this? So grab some paper and a pen. Okay, and while you're doing that, let me, just making sure that Facebook is all good here. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of likes and loves. I just want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Okay. All right, so with the journals, let's go ahead and get started on these. So these journal prompts are to heal shame and build self-love, Okay. And now I love, love, love talking about this first one because this is the one that people struggle with the most. Okay. Is how to forgive ourselves. Okay. If I say to you, forgive yourself, you'll be like, okay, that's great, but what, how, who? And this is something that I had to teach myself. I've used these a lot. I use these with clients all the time. And maybe let me try to zoom in a little bit. The first one is, okay, I forgive myself for these mistakes I made. Okay. And so what you're going to do is you're going to think of everything big and small mistakes that you made, and be very specific. Okay. I like to give myself a time frame, sometimes over a week, or there's a lot in the last day that I probably beat myself up for, right? So think of those things that you might be beating yourself up for, and you can think of just in the last day, and that you made yesterday, and write them down. Okay? And try to take on the same forgiving tone you would use to talk to a really good friend or a loved one about why you forgive yourself for each one. Okay? And this might take a while, but it's worth it. And I actually give you a sentence starter because I found that so many people are like, okay, well, I don't know how to forgive myself. That's how out of practice we are with this. So this is the sentence frame that I use. Okay? I forgive myself for X because I know that I was feeling Y. Next time I will Z. Okay? So again, I forgive myself for X because I know I was feeling Y, and next time I will Z. So it can be very small. So for example, yesterday, I forgive myself for yelling at my 3-year-old. You can tell this is true to life, right? Because I know that I was feeling Y. And next time, because I know I was feeling really tired and overwhelmed, and I know that, and so this is I'm talking to myself like a best friend. So I forgive myself for yelling at my daughter because I know I was feeling really tired and overwhelmed and really stressed out. And next time I will breathe before I respond to her. Or next time I might take a break before I respond to her behavior so I can respond from the place that I want to. Okay? Another thing you could do, I forgive myself for not responding to that person's email yesterday. Okay? Because I know I was feeling really tired and exhausted and overwhelmed. You see how often that comes up for me, right? Next time I will, or later today or tomorrow or when I have time, I will email that person and apologize and just let them know that I've been dealing with a lot on my plate. Okay? And ask them to maybe move the timeline a little bit, or just kind of let them know where I'm coming from and see how we can work it out. Okay? So what's great about this is that you talk to yourself with compassion. You are giving yourself a reason. You're forcing yourself to think through why it is that you did that. And you're giving yourself something you can do differently next time, which can help you feel solution oriented. Okay? It makes you feel like you're doing something about it. So that's the I forgive myself for. And then the second thing they want to do, the things I did that remind me of how amazing I am, or I'm proud of myself for. This one is a little tricky for people as well too, because we're not used to acknowledging ourselves. We're not used to celebrating our wins. But this is, taking time to list out everything, big and small, that you, let's see, here we go. Okay, just making sure Facebook is all right. Okay, Facebook is back, good. So taking time to list out everything big and small that you should feel good about, even if it feels mundane, okay? So clearing out your inbox or cooking a meal can be huge. And you reviewing this list will help you feel amazing, okay? So it's even the small things. So my clients at first, we do this every session because it's critical and because we're out of practice with this. But we have to do this to remind ourselves we make miracles happen every day that we don't realize or that we just feel like we're supposed to do. But we actually do a lot to be proud of. So writing down, again, I answered that email. I I did something really great that helped my daughter feel better when she was feeling kind of sad. I paused and gave somebody a moment of my time, even though I was really tired, and I made that person's day. I gave somebody a hug. Well, okay, Corona, right? But I had a great conversation with someone, a coworker who was feeling really down, and I helped her to feel a little bit better. I sent a text to someone that uplifted someone, just whatever it is, right? I accomplished a really important, like a thing at work that was kind of sitting on my to-do list for a while, and I finally got to it. I answered emails even though I didn't feel like it in that moment, and I feel a lot better for it now. So big and small, even if they feel mundane, even if it's chores, cleaning the dishes, the things that you do every day, but just write down everything you can think of, okay? And then finally, these are all of the things you're grateful for, okay? And this is not a new thing. A gratitude list has been proven to help boost your spirits and help you to feel better and help with your mental health. But keeping track of those things that we're grateful for, again, both big and small and large, contribute to feeling more content and releasing shame. Think of the mundane things in your day you might not always pay attention to. So a nice conversation, a hug, a funny joke, a nice podcast, a clean room. I have 2 little kids. That is a big deal in my house. Okay, etc. And just write down all of those little things that you're grateful for. Little and big, okay? So I'll give you just another 30 seconds or so to do that while I take a sip from my water. And then we'll transition into that fourth and final thing. I'm so excited. You're doing great. Okay. Okay. And by the way, if you know that you struggle with having a positive mindset, that this is something you can work on, you'll notice at the bottom here that I wrote journaling every day is for 21 days can be a really helpful thing. There's actually studies that show that habit change comes from doing it over a few weeks. 21 days is something that actually can really help your mindset. So you can make this a commitment to yourself. And that's something that I did when I was really struggling with my mental health and with feeling good about myself. I forced myself to do it, and it was so helpful. I think I have some stuff on my lip. Okay, I think I'm good. Okay. All right. And so again, if you didn't finish right now, then that's okay, but you can always go back and do that activity. That is a bonus activity, so you can spend more time with that if you want to. And you can go back and look at the replay of this video just to remind yourself how to do it, okay, if you're struggling with how to do it. All right. So that was that activity. Now, let's talk about, these are all, I say this about all of them, but this is the fourth and final tip, okay, which is getting support. Don't do it alone, okay? Don't do it alone. This is critical. All right. So let's talk about the struggle. The struggle is real here. So so many of us have a kind of a pull yourself up by the bootstraps mindset. This idea, I just got to keep grinding, keep going, got to pull myself up by the bootstraps. That implies by yourself, okay? And a lot of us take it to mean that. We can feel like no one understands what we're going through, though, and that it can help us to feel isolated when we do that. We can end up comparing ourselves to others a lot, right? Like, why are they, able to do so much, right? Why are they able to accomplish so much? And it can make us feel even more stuck and overwhelmed than we do at the moment. And part of that is because, we can also end up giving up on our self-care because you lack accountability, right? If you're trying to do some, healthy habit things, then you can really start to give up on those things without somebody to help hold you accountable. And you can start to drown in your own negative self-talk and fear. Okay. We've talked a lot about fear today. We've talked a lot about like, negative mindsets and negative thoughts, which are a part of life, and we don't want to get rid of them. But when we try to go at it all alone and by ourselves, we can start to drown in that. Okay. Give me hands up if that's you or ever been you, because that has been me before for sure. So here's the new mindset we want to adopt. Okay. And I love this. These ladies are so cute. Remember that we are social beings by nature. We are social beings by nature. We need each other. And in this time of pandemic, we really need each other. Okay. Recognize that our society sometimes teaches us to do things alone, but that's not necessary. And that together we really do go further. I go way further when I have people in my corner cheerleading me and backing me up and to commiserate with. And it helps, again, to keep that negative self-talk and fear from taking over, right? So before this call today, before we even got on here, I had a fabulous conversation with one of my best friends. And, just checking in with her on a regular basis and checking in with, other best friends and sister friends that I have and other women who are also motivated and also trying to go after their dreams helps me to stay motivated too. And helps me to stop myself from being like, oh my gosh, can I be successful? Can I do this? Can I get this done? And feeling isolated is one of the main things that leads people to give up on new goals. It just is. So that's why there's our accountability groups. That's why there are all of these different, support group. That's why they have support group and not just support by yourself, right? So here are some practical strategies that you can use to help you, okay? So the first thing is to find a friend or a loved one to share your goals and your visions with and to get specific. Okay. So what I mean by that is, we all have people that love us. Okay. And even if you like to spend a lot of time by yourself, it can be very helpful to check in with somebody, even if it's just once a week or once every 2 weeks. Once a week is probably better, but and getting specific with them and saying, hey, I really want to meal plan for myself once a week, but I keep forgetting to do it or I keep making excuses. Can you help hold me accountable? Can I text you once a week and can I update you on how I did each week? Yes or no? Or a phone call. Can I, pick up the phone and call you, or a Zoom call in this new video world that we're in once a week and just check in with you about how I'm doing with meal planning, or that I walked 3 times this week, or that I gave myself a lunch break this week and I actually took time for myself. Or, well, this would have been my thing before Corona, but that I had a babysitter once a week and that I had a date with my husband. I don't even know what that looks like anymore without the kids. Okay. But just checking in with someone to make sure that you make that time for yourself and asking if you can check in with them weekly. All right. You can find people or in an online community. Okay. So if you don't know people who you feel like would be helpful with this, or that might actually help bring you up instead of bringing you down, you can go on an online community. There's tons of them. And here's the other thing you can do, okay? Get an amazing coach or trainer. And the reason why this helps so much is because when you find an expert, they can help you with they're trained to help you with your accountability, to cheerlead you properly. And here's the thing that I also love about coaching, which sets it apart, okay? In the same way that a therapist does too, is that, friends and family are wonderful and great and excellent. But sometimes they're not always trained to analyze your subconscious, right? I personally, one of the things that I help my clients do is I help notice their subconscious and patterns and systems. So what are those things that they're saying? I read in between the lines of what they're saying and I'm like, oh, okay, I noticed that sounded like a little bit of a limiting belief right there. It sounds like you don't really feel like you can do this, or you're saying a lot of things that indicate that that you don't believe that you can actually get this done. What are your thoughts about that? Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. It looks like I got disconnected. My internet kicked me off for a quick second. I'm back. Okay, I'm back on, everyone. Here we go. Okay, and we're back on Facebook, it looks like. All right. And let me go back and sharing my screen. That was bizarre. That was a little random. But here we go. We're back to sharing these practical strategies, okay? But so where coaching can help is it helps you to unpack your mindsets and your fears, okay? And really helping you analyze where it is that you're sabotaging yourself in a deeper way than maybe just than you know that like loved ones who may be well intentioned may not always be able to do. Okay, so that was, here we go. Okay, so here is, this is just a picture of me and the walking and running group that I'm a part of. These are some amazing ladies. It's a group called Go Wow. If you're local, let me know, because I love to hook you up with these ladies. They're amazing. It's a walking and running group. And this is my own personal experience. I spent so much time feeling alone and working on getting in shape on my own. I struggled a lot with willpower and motivation, and I kept thinking that there was something wrong with me. Hands up if that's you, if you've ever done that. It wasn't until I surrounded myself with people and communities who understood me, who understood my cravings, my desire to sometimes not exercise, that I went further in my health. So sometimes we look at people, if you just look at me running, you might have all types of ideas of what I'm thinking in my head. You might think, oh my gosh, she's got it so much together. In my head, I might be like, oh my God, this run sucks. This is horrible. Why did I go out this morning? I'm hating myself. But so when you are around a community of people, you get to see behind the curtain and you get to demystify it together. And you get to say, oh, you feel the same way too? And it makes you feel better about yourself. In community and through coaching, I found accountability, cheerleading from people who got it, who understand, and the understanding that I was normal and I could do it. Okay. And that is the beauty of having community or support. Okay. So here, and this is what I want for you guys too. So the fourth activity, our fourth and final activity of the day, is really just to think of someone you'd like to connect with and get support from. Okay. And think about how they can help support you very specifically. So as a family member, friend, a loved one, spouse, partner, and how can they help you? Can they be an accountability buddy you check in with weekly about meal planning or about taking a break or about, just like allowing yourself to like veg out a little bit? Or could it be a coach? And actually, I'm really excited because at the end of this, I'm going to tell you about an amazing way that you guys can get your accountability on and work together. Okay. So just really think about this. How can they help support you? How can they help you move forward together? Okay. Take about 30 seconds to think that while I drink my water. Hydration is key. Okay. All right. And now let's move on. Let's recap. Okay. So we're going to recap, and then I have some really exciting things that I want to tell you about at the end of this. Okay. So the four biggest mistakes we make with self-care are the following. Number one, feeling hopeless about your life and the world. Okay. Number two, I don't have enough time. There's never enough time. Number three, setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. And number four, trying to do it all alone, okay? And by yourself and by your lonesome. And here are the strategies that we discussed, okay? The first one is embracing your personal power. You have more power than you think you do. Number two, recognizing that your time is your own. Number three, practice self-love and compassion, okay? When you do that, that really unlocks everything else. And then number four, getting support and not doing it alone. And so with that, I just want to say I'm so thankful for you all for sticking with this workshop and for showing up the way that you did. And now because you've been so amazing and wonderful and took this time for yourselves, I have a phenomenal thing I want to tell you about and a gift for you. Okay. So, you might be asking yourself, now what? Okay. You just saw the system that I personally used and have helped clients use to help make themselves a priority and create more balance and joy for themselves. And you've listened to how it works. And I think you know that it can help you to a certain degree. And this info is most likely helpful, but let's face it, this event is only 2 hours. Okay. This is hour and a half to 2 hour long event. Okay. There's a lot, change takes more time than that, right? So here's the gift I want to offer to you guys for being so amazing and so wonderful. I want to offer you help you really implement what we discussed today. And remember, we just discussed this, but people who have support go further. It's just a fact of life. In community, we go farther. And so I want to invite you to join me for a free 40 to 50 minute breakthrough session. And I'm going to put the link for that in the Facebook group right now. So I'm pulling that up right now. Okay, and what you're gonna do is this. Okay, I just put it in the Facebook comments for this, because what I want to invite you to do is to really have some time. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about what you can expect on that call, okay? So on this free call, what we'll do is we'll figure out what your unique vision is and your big dreams are for yourself, okay? What your big dreams are for your health or your life, whatever it is that you'd like to work on. And discover that number one obstacle that's really blocking you from making you a priority. Is it that you've been using, maybe you are busy, but is it that you've been using time as an excuse just to not even try? Is it that you've been taking care of other people and you just have also been kind of using that as a little bit as an excuse as well too? Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, okay? And we'll create a concrete plan for how to get the balanced life you deserve and help you live freely, okay? And on this call, people who don't even sign up for coaching, they always say that on this call they get powerful breakthroughs, and they're always really glad that they did it. It's amazing. We're gonna go deep and really, really figure out what's blocking you and how to move forward. And here's the thing I want you to let go of. Let go of fear of failure. Okay, we talked a lot about fear. Let go of that fear of failure. It doesn't matter what you've tried to do before. It doesn't matter if you feel as though, if you've convinced yourself that there's no way you can get it done. You can. Just let go of those negative thoughts you have about yourself. Any thoughts that you have, well, I've tried this 50 times and I can't do it. I've tried getting healthy and I can't do it. I've tried taking care of myself and I just can't do it. Let go of those limiting beliefs about what you can accomplish, because you can. And let go of those limiting beliefs of what your life can look like. I really used to believe, I really thought that I was going to be stuck taking care of other people forever. That life was just meant to be kind of miserable to a certain degree. That I was just meant to live like this stressed out existence, overworking, overdoing, and over caring for others. And I thought that it was selfish to take care of myself. And the fact that I stepped up and took a risk on myself and on change and transformation was one of the most amazing things I could have ever done for myself, and something I didn't believe that I could do. So let go of all of that and just sign up for a call. Okay? Because here is there's a powerful, exciting opportunity I want to tell you guys about in the year 2021. Okay? So 2020, year of a lot of craziness, a lot of madness, but 2021 is all about doing things different. We can't control everything that's happening in the world, but we can control how we show up to it. We can control how we bounce back. We can control our stamina and our staying power. And so this powerful and exciting opportunity that you can take or not is really going to help you with that too. Okay? So when you do sign up for that free 40 to 50 minute call, we'll also get on. I'll tell you a little bit more about this powerful group coaching opportunity, okay? Starting in January, and I'm so excited about that, okay? Speaking of like accountability and all of that, listen to this. 12 weeks of curriculum of coaching that is designed by nutrition and habit change experts to help you change your healthy habits and get off the dieting hamster wheel for good, okay? And by the way, I tried to find a picture of a hamster on a hamster wheel. It was surprisingly hard to find, but I found that little cute hamster. Okay. So this is a curriculum that I've been using one-on-one with clients for years now, and it's just going to be brought to a group. I'm so excited, and my clients love it, and I'm so excited to bring it to a group format. Group coaching, here's a little bit more about it. Get coaching that helps you make change from the inside out so you get lifestyle and health change, not just more yo-yo dieting. Okay. Now we talked about it before when we were talking about like why coaches are beneficial, because we are going to go deep and really figure out all of those things that keep you from being motivated, from staying on target, on track with the health goals that you set for yourself. And so this is for people who want to get healthy and, again, transform their relationship with eating, with exercise, and most importantly with themselves and their bodies. Okay. If you want to learn how to love yourself again and love your body again, and we will make, and what's amazing about coaching is that we will make change so that you can be different without having to think about being different. So when you change yourself while you work on changing these healthy habits, it's going to be so much easier to stick to them. You'll see the change will be dramatic and amazing and transformative. And it's what happened for me and what helped me lose 50 pounds. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to spend the first couple of weeks making sure that your success is inevitable, okay? By making it fit into your busy lifestyle and also working on your mindset, okay? So we're going to spend, in the first couple of weeks, we're going to spend time making sure that we can fit it in with everything that's important to you, with all of the values you have right now. We're also going to be spending time working on your mindset. And I'm going to tell you, I have really cool gifts to tell you about in a second. You know, we're going to be spending time working on self-love and self-compassion so you can go into the coaching process not beating yourself up and approaching it differently so you can get more out of this program and change yourself for life. Here's another cool thing that's going to happen. So create a healthy lifestyle that brings joy and fun. I love this pineapple. Okay, so it's not just dieting and exercise. How lame and boring is that? Man, now I got to do things that I hate. No, you get to enjoy healthy food that tastes good. You get to enjoy the foods that you like that aren't so healthy in moderation. You don't have to completely cut certain things out of your life, and you can still have joy, and you can find new joy and new fun with healthy foods too. And you're also going to do activities and exercises that bring joy and fun to it. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. Okay. And here's the other thing. Yes, even if you're not active now, we're eating all that healthy. Okay. So even if you are on the couch most of the time, it's okay. You can also get active too. And even if you're not eating all that healthy right now, okay, you don't have to be, we're going to help baby step you to this place. Okay. And here's the other thing about it. You're going to get weekly coaching sessions and work with accountability buddies to help keep you on track. Okay. And the thing I want to say about that is it doesn't have to be overwhelming. So when I said before in the first few weeks, if you are already busy, you can make sure that your check-ins, fit in with your schedule and your life so that it doesn't just take over and you feel like you don't have any time for your life. But you will have an opportunity because we go further together. So when we have an accountability buddy and we know we have somebody checking in on us and making sure that we're going to check in with them on a regular basis, it makes us more likely to take those action steps that we need to take. Okay. And also for that person to understand you and understand where you're coming from. Okay. So exciting. And I have people interested in this already. So excited about this. And here's the other thing about group coaching. You're going to learn from powerful experts in their fields with live Q&A sessions. Okay. So I have personal trainers, also a pole dancing instructor, okay, who is amazing and wonderful, a vegan chef who makes these delicious, healthy, like she's all about healthy and delicious food. And when you go on her Instagram page, her food is just so delicious and amazing. So you're not just going to be learning from me, but you're also going to have an opportunity to talk to our personal trainers about how to go from couch to exercise. And you can have an opportunity to interact with them and ask them the tough questions. So if you're not exercising much right now, how do you find something that is going to be fun for you? And then the pole dancing instructor coming in and talking about getting joy from movement. And for that vegan chef, getting joy from healthy eating. And there's going to be many more where that came from too. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, we have a life coach friend of mine who's going to give you guys a special gift, and I'll tell you guys about that in the next couple of slides. But she is going to do a session in the first week or two all about getting your mindset ready for it, self-compassion, self-forgiveness, so that you can go into this process not beating yourself up and treating yourself well so that you have the best possible chance of success. All right, it's truly, truly amazing and incredible. And here are some gifts. You get these bonus gifts for joining, okay? You get an app that gives you inspiration and motivation and lets you track your progress, okay? That's a bonus, okay? Bonus gift. I love this little holiday gift, right? And so if you want to track your progress, you can, and it'll give you daily inspiration as well too, okay? A gratitude and wellness journal as your free gift for joining. So my friend Nichelle, who's going to do a session with us about like getting your mindset together and that self-love and that compassion, because as we've gone through in this training, self-love and self-compassion are critical to our success. Critical. Because if you make a mistake and all you're doing is beating yourself up all the time, you won't ever want to get back to taking action again. So she's going to give us these gratitude and wellness journals and bundles that you will get as a free gift for joining group coaching. I'm so excited about that. And she's going to show us how to journal as well too. Okay, so this is your free gift for joining. And you'll get access to a Facebook group to get daily inspiration and ask questions and more, okay? Oh, and I forgot to include on here, we're gonna have a Q&A call, an optional Q&A, where we'll go live at like a lunchtime hour, and you can catch that in the Facebook group as well too, and if you miss it, the replay will be right there, okay? It's so much. I'm so excited about this. And the best part is that because this is group coaching, you can save more than 50% off of coaching one-on-one right now. And I'm so excited about this because again, the value of this is just incredible. And so what I will do is, and also too, when you book your call with me, I will talk to you about the price. It's an experimental price, okay? I personally feel like it's very, it's ridiculously low. It's ridiculously low. And it's more than 50% off of coaching one-on-one. And this is an experimental price. It could go up. So you definitely want to, if you're interested in this, even in the slightest, you definitely want to book a call so that you can at least get the information and know if it's the right fit for you, okay? And here's the thing about it. When you schedule a call with me, there's no pressure to sign up. It's just to see if we are a good fit for each other. And if I think that the program is a good fit for you, I will bring that up to you. I will mention it to you because I know this program is going to be life-changing for so many people. And it's no pressure to sign up. So when you book that free call with me, it's all about you. It's all about us figuring out what is blocking you from making progress, and also what you can do to move forward. And at the end of it, if I think it's a good fit, I will tell you more about the group coaching program and how you can save more than 50% off of one-on-one coaching and get all of these amazing gifts and bonuses that we just went through, okay? The expert panels, the Q&As at lunchtime, the Facebook group, the accountability buddies, the app that tracks your progress and gives you tips and recipes and inspiration. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Oh, and the wellness journals and the gifts and the bag and a mug. I mean, you're just getting, it's so much. So it's just incredible. And it's all designed to baby step you and help you work your way into it. It's designed to kind of guide you through this process without being too overwhelming. And I know, and so if you're interested in it at all, definitely click that link in the Facebook, in the comments that I posted, and schedule your call with me. You don't have to sign up, but you can learn more about it. And it's going to be incredible. So I hope that we can see you there, because it's just going to be incredible. We already have a couple of people interested in it. It's going to be amazing. And again, it is the first time we're doing this. We want to keep it small and limited. So if you are even slightly interested in joining, you definitely want to sign on, because we want to keep the group small. So we don't want to have it overwhelming and large. So we are going to be strict about our numbers. Okay. So definitely go ahead and book that call. And let me go back to Facebook and just see, are there any comments or questions or anything? You guys have been amazing and wonderful. Oh, hi. Hi, Tamia. Thanks for watching. Hi, Jacqueline. I'm looking at Facebook on my phone. Sorry about that. But this is going to be, it's going to be incredible. And if there are any questions about group coaching, I'd love to stay on for another 10 minutes or so and answer any questions that you have about it. Because again, I've always dreamed about doing group coaching. I'm a teacher at heart. And I know that, that together we go further. It's just like what we talked about earlier in those things that get in the way. Sometimes, when we're isolated, when we try to do things alone, we go a lot slower or not at all, or give up on it altogether. And it's happened to me so many times that I just really want to do everything that I can to empower as many people as possible. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop. Let me stop recording, and let me see, I'm going to stop sharing for a quick second here. I'm going to stop recording. And if there are any questions now, then I will just allow folks to ask those questions. Okay.